So your 14-year-old daughter wants to start dating, and it's freaking you out. Well, let's talk about it today on Tips on Teens. My name is Kent Toussaint. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I specialize in helping kids, teens, and families live happier lives. I lead two organizations, the group private practice Teen Therapy Center and the nonprofit 501c3 organization Child and Teen Counseling, both here in Woodland Hills, California. Every Wednesday at noon, I come to you live on Facebook to answer your parenting questions, and this one is a good one. I have a feeling my 14-year-old daughter is going to want to start seeing this guy who she's been talking to a lot on Zoom lately. He's someone she's been familiar with from school for a while, but recently it seems like they developed a thing. I don't know this kid well, and I'm really nervous about my little girl starting to date. We've always had pretty good communication, but I want to make sure that she feels comfortable talking to her mom and me about things. Mostly, I'm worried that she'll get used, or she won't know how to draw the line with this guy. Any advice about how I might be able to talk to her about it, or what I should say? Yeah, dude, I get you. Us dads thinking about our little girls dating some scruffy, smelly teenage boy, it freaks us out. And I think a lot of dads can relate to that. I'm sure a lot of moms can too. In the grand scheme of things, it's probably going to be fine, but we kind of get in this protective mode of our little girls. And the truth is, our little boys can be affected in the same way, can be used in the same way. So why are we focusing so much on girls? It's probably gender stereotypes that we've grown up in our society. But anyways, I don't focus on this situation. Don't want to get lost in every situation. So let's talk about this girl. Again, boys can get used and get their hearts broken just as much. So you have this 14-year-old daughter who likes this guy. He likes her. Puppy love. You could try to step in and say, no, you cannot date. You cannot date till you're 35, when I'm more comfortable with it and I'm senile, right? The more you try to stop her from dating, the more you're going to put this kid on a pedestal, and you're going to make him seem even greater than he is. And in non-quarantine times, they would just see each other at school. Or she would arrange to go see a friend at a friend's house, but really go see the boyfriend just behind your back. So better just keep this all out in the open and keep it safe. So if things do go astray, she has a safe place to go. She is not, if she has a crush and she wants to date someone, she's probably emotionally ready to be in that situation. And I say that because I ask, when do you want her to have her first relationship experience? Is it college? Is it after college? Excuse me, I have an eyelash in my eye. It's very inconvenient timing. But anyways, having these relationships in high school helps prepare her for deeper relationships in college and so on and so forth. So I think it's great that she has you guys as an open place to talk, and I would encourage you to continue that. But great to talk to her about, if she does start dating this boy, there's some things to talk about, like consent, first and foremost. What is consent? Consent can look a lot of different ways, but ultimately it's having some kind of acknowledgement that, hey, this is okay, I'm comfortable with this. So how does she express consent to this boy if they're kissing or making out? I know, that's freaking a lot of you dads out right now, I get it. But we have to talk about this stuff, we really do. As if you don't talk about it with your daughter, who is she going to talk to about it? Her other 14-year-old friends? TikTok, that's where she's going to get information from, and better for her to get her information from you. And make sure that she has a safe place to talk about what is consent. So if he wants to kiss her or she wants to kiss him, how do they figure that out? If it goes beyond kissing, how do they talk about that? Where is too far? Now, you may have a too far, and your daughter may have a too far, right? Trying to get her to agree with your too far, she may pay lip service to it, but she may not really mean it. So it's important to be open to what her too far is. Again, I know that's freaking you out. But then again, it leads to the conversation of, what is safe sex? I'm not saying she's going to have sex, but she might. Teenagers will do that from time to time, no matter what you try to do to stop them. So is she prepared for that if that happens? Let's say they both give consent to each other to have sex. Do they have condoms? Do they understand what consent is? Do they understand the safe place? Do they understand what all that is? Do they understand that there's dignity and respect and compassion roped into all that? It's important to be talking about that. Porn is not a very healthy place or a realistic place to get sexual information from. It's a very idealized, fictional version of sex. So if you don't talk to her about this, there's plenty of other places she can go that you may not find that are very appealing to you. So make sure you're having these conversations as much as they may freak you out. Statistically, I don't have the numbers offhand right now, but kids who are forewarned and forearmed with knowledge and education about sex, and it's not a taboo subject, wait longer. They make healthier choices with sex. They're better able to set boundaries with sex. So be very open and honest. Even though it's uncomfortable, even though it gives you the willies in your tummy, talk to her. Make sure that you can bring up these topics and you're breathing and you're calm. You can acknowledge that, hey, this is a little uncomfortable for me too, but these are important things for you to know. There are books out there to help kids understand this stuff. But consent is big. Where are her boundaries? How does she say, no, I don't want to do that? How does she ask if she can do something? How do they talk about these things? This is really important and probably not just a one-time conversation. This is a very elaborate conversation. But if she can have this conversation with you, she can have it with this guy, right? And she can make those choices. She can avoid being used or letting a guy, abuse her in some way. And I say it's probably the wrong choice of words and whatnot. I meant to say is, going farther than she wants to go, being convinced to go someplace that she wasn't really ready for. I'm not talking about date rape. That's not what I was referring to. So it's important to talk about these things. Another thing to talk about is sexting. That's sending nude pictures to one another. And it's a really rampant thing in our culture right now amongst teens and young adults. It's illegal. It's child porn. If she sends a nude pic to him and he shares it with someone, he is now guilty of trafficking child pornography. Or if he asks your daughter for a pic, that's child pornography. Or if she asks him, these are all things that need to be talked about and addressed, because a lot of kids don't realize this because for them it's very commonplace. It happens all the time. It's important you talk about these things. These are big conversations. These are many conversations. And no matter what, I encourage you to let your daughter know that no matter what happens, you're not going to be angry, you're not going to be upset, and you love her, and you're going to be there for her no matter what she does, no matter how far she goes with this boyfriend, no matter how much you don't like this boyfriend. That's another thing. Make sure you get to know this boy. Make sure you get to know his parents. Even if you don't like them, get to know them. It helps the communication keep flowing. It helps if there's something going on. That parent may reach out to you and say, hey, this is going on. I'm concerned about this. You're going to have to work with them on this. You can't just hide. You have to lean into it and embrace it and recognize what you cannot control. You cannot control your kids having sex or not having sex. No one's been able to do that. That doesn't exist. That control is an illusion. If they want to have sex, they're going to have sex. So, if that's going to happen, make sure they are forewarned and forearmed with education and information. Even if you don't believe in premarital sex, even if you don't agree with teen sex, you don't have to agree with it. But it's important to acknowledge that it is a reality, and sometimes people get turned on and they're not thinking straight and they kind of get lost in the moment. Most of us have had that kind of experience with a partner one time or another. It can happen to your daughter, even at 14. I know it's hard to think about your 14 having sexual thoughts and feelings, but it's also not uncommon for 14-year-olds to have sexual thoughts and feelings. That's a normal part of development. Not everyone has it, but a lot do. So be honest with yourself, be honest with your spouse, be honest with your kid. If you need help talking through this, find someone to help you through this who can talk about it, whether it's an educator, a therapist, a minister, a rabbi, whoever that is. Don't just try to avoid it. The more you avoid this, the bigger the dangers become. That is our big question. Thank you so much. We've already got a question for next week, but we're looking for a question for 2 weeks from now. So if you have a question you'd like me to answer, you can email us at tipsonteens@teentherapycenter.com. And last but not least, November 11th, Wednesday night from 7 to 9, I will be leading a parent workshop on quarantine, and it's open to the first 10 parents. Our registration link is a little hokey right now, but just email us and we'll get you going in that registration process. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye, guys.